Hi, my name is Eric Wing, and I'd like to give you a quick introduction to the BlurrrSDK. The days of simply shipping a flashlight app are long past. You now must differentiate your game so it isn't like every other game on the market. So instead of a large, monolithic cookie-cutter engine, Blurrr takes a different approach and offers a powerful but lightweight, modular and extensible, native, cross-platform video game engine optimized for 2D games. Blurrr allows you to code in C, Lua, or JavaScript and targets both desktop and mobile. And instead of reinventing technologies for the mere sake of owning them, Blurrr is comprised of well-known tools in the AAA game industry, such as SDL and CMake. Many newer game developers find native development intimidating, so among Blurr's goals is to make native game development more accessible to everybody, so you can tap the performance and features that you need to make games that fulfill your vision. So in this video, I will briefly demonstrate how easy it is to get going on 5 different target platforms under 3 different programming languages. Right now I am in OS X with Xcode already installed, and I have downloaded the BlurrrSDK. The BlurrrSDK does not need an installer, so it won't mess up anything on your system. Blurrr is designed to provide a download and go experience. In the SDK, you'll find a GUI tool called BlurrrGenProj. Let's launch that to begin. Blurrr also provides command line scripts, which are ideal for automation, continuous integration, or people that just prefer the command line, but for brevity, I will omit these in this video. Let's create a new project. And we need to pick where it goes. And you'll see 2 options here, one for the template type and one for the language. Let's arbitrarily pick Lua and the default template. I will discuss both of these options in more detail in a moment. Now that we have our project created, we are asked about which target platform we want to build for right now. This will generate the platform-specific project for us. Since I'm on OS X, let's generate an Xcode project for the Mac. An Xcode project is being generated and we'll launch in a moment because this box was checked. This might be a bit different than what you are used to with other cross-platform SDKs. Often you're either given some third-party tool which makes you a second-class developer on your own platform, or you're left to fend for yourself. Blurrr is quite serious about native development and also recognizes that companies like Apple, Google, and Microsoft spend easily tens of millions of dollars per year on making their developer tools first-rate. So Blurrr has worked very hard to make cross-platform project management easy while still allowing the benefits of being a first-class developer on each platform, which means easy access to native IDEs, debuggers, profilers, and analyzers. With our Xcode project open, let's set the target to the app, and let's hit the Run button to build and run. And there is our basic SDL default template now running. It's that easy. A moment ago, we saw that there was a template choice between default and SDL GPU. You may be wondering what that means. Well, first, SDL comes with a built-in 2D renderer and API. It is hardware accelerated and thus backed by an implementation that makes sense for the platform, such as OpenGL or Direct3D. It is quite capable of making any 2D game throughout the 20th century. However, despite being backed by modern GPUs, the API currently does not allow direct access to shaders. So, for more control, SDL allows the concept of alternative renderers to be implemented. SDL GPU is one such alternative renderer, currently built on OpenGL. Like SDL proper, it tries to provide an optimized 2D renderer and API, but allows for direct shader access. So let's make that a little more concrete. I have an example program that was first written with a traditional SDL renderer, and then I ported it to SDL GPU and added some embellishment. So let's open up the traditional based example first. I will pick the JavaScript version just to be a little different. And please forgive the crudeness. This program is not finished yet, and I still haven't fixed certain things like proper bounding boxes. While we're here, I should also point out that the BlurrrSDK includes additional libraries, such as ALMixer and OpenAL for sound, and Chipmunk 2D for physics. This particular example was inspired by a buoyancy demo from Chipmunk. Also, some of you may recognize the game that this aesthetic was inspired by, but to drive that home, let's now switch to the STL GPU counterpart. As you can see here, I went a little overboard with the shaders. I added a tree, and then I added a blur filter to give it some depth of field. I added a grain filter to make it look like you're watching an old film reel. I added an intensity flicker to give it the sense of a film projector bulb. I generate hairs and scratches to help sell the film reel effect. And I added a vignette. I used a shader to animate the surface topology of the water and also not make it so uniform. And I have a subtle caustic effect in the water. So you can see how effective use of shaders can transform a fairly simple scene into something quite striking.